I do a little recap from yesterday because it allows us also to kind of smoothen into this topic of solitude. The solitude is a wonderful subject, so I'm very happy we get to speak about it tonight, whatever time that you have. So there's someone else joining us, so I have to admit them, I think. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, so a little recap from yesterday so that we can smoothen into this topic of solitude. So solitude stands opposite of loneliness. So the subject of loneliness is essential to really see and understand solitude. And if we don't face loneliness in our lives, then there's no point speaking about solitude. And we need also a little bit to distinguish, so help our mind understand what is what. Yeah. So we look together first at loneliness, a little bit recapping from yesterday, and what we can feel when we feel right now, relax and let your muscles relax, your body relax, your gaze relax. And then a sense into this word and what comes with that loneliness. So we get a relationship rather than me immediately dropping a bunch of words. First, I invite us to get into relationship ourselves with this topic or this word, loneliness. And then we notice that when I invite to do this, we use thought to contact loneliness, to get in touch with loneliness. And this is actually the heart of loneliness. The root of loneliness is thought. So the outside world, we think, is responsible for our loneliness. Yeah, so we think, okay, I'm in the city, but I cannot connect with anybody here. People don't want to connect. So I feel lonely. Or I'm in the country, it's boring. I cannot meet anybody. Or I don't have a partner, so I feel alone. I don't have so many friends. Whatever the story is, we kind of put on the outside. But when we really look and investigate loneliness, we see that no matter the circumstance, there's loneliness. When I've always wanted a relationship, then I get the relationship, and then suddenly in that relationship, I feel lonely. I cannot connect fully. So we notice that this loneliness follows us around. So it has to be with our mind. And yesterday I said, okay, what is the role of thought? The role of thought is to make a separation between me and out there. So I use thought to make a distinction, which is very helpful at times, but also has me be apart. So at the heart of loneliness is thought, because thought generates separation. When I stand in front of the tree and there's no thought, I feel the tree and I feel the leaves, and suddenly I have a companion. So when there's no thought, I cannot be lonely. Because when there's no thought, then the tree becomes not separate from me. This goes, of course, also for people, human beings, animals. There's no thought in between me and what I see. There's no I and whatever is there. Then this gap closes and loneliness actually disappears. Yeah, so this is really important because, of course, the quest when we feel lonely is to go out, to meet people, to try and not be lonely anymore. Find a partner, find friends. And also, all of that is wonderful. But if that has suffering at the heart of it, I suffer, that's why I look out, then I will carry this loneliness everywhere I go. Yeah, I will carry the loneliness into being with friends. I am with friends, but my mind is still lonely, is still generating thought. So although I am with people, I feel lonely. So that's why we need to turn it back and say, okay, I investigate thought. And I know that when there's no thought in between me, no thought in between me and what I see, then I am that which I see. So I can no longer be lonely. Yeah. In front of the tree, no thought. I feel I have a companion. And also right now, among us here, live in the call, later when you watch this video, it doesn't matter. When you let go of the thought about what you hear, about this moment, about maybe the time of day, and the thought disappears, you feel the empty mind. Try it now. Let the thought disappear, empty mind, see directly, clearly each other, yourself, the time of day. And when there's no thought, suddenly everything that you see becomes a companion. So we see each other, we're companions. But even we see a lamb becomes a companion. Because everything is alive. Everything is alive. So the thought that I generate make deadens that relationship, kills that relationship. So the lamp is not alive. I am alive. Even tree, oh, it's a thing. So in that moment, get shut the possibility of companionship. Yeah, so we look for companionship out there in friends, in relationships, in people, but the companionship, we cannot find it there. Because even when we have that companion we always dreamed about, then we still carry the same mind. And that mind, what is it doing? Generating thought. And what is that thought doing? Separating me from my companion. So the gap becomes wider and wider. And the more thought I generate, the more the gap starts to grow and the more lonely I feel. Yeah. So this is very important to realize. At the root of loneliness, this very important subject that creates a lot of suffering, is thought. Not my condition, not me being alone. And this is where solitude comes. So, solitude, being alone. Yeah, so right now, in this moment, you feel what it feels like being alone. But you feel what it feels like without the thought about being alone. You see, the moment I even say being alone, it triggers often a series of thoughts. What this is, what this should feel like to be alone. And this actually cuts me from the possibility of solitude. So now in this moment, be alone without the thought. So again, relax your eyes and your body and your everything relax. You rest in yourself. And then in this moment, be alone without the thought. Be alone without the thought. And when you notice a thought, then you observe what that thought is creating, generating. The moment a thought comes, being alone maybe becomes tenseful, difficult. So let the thought again move, and it will pass. Eventually it will go. And so we can be alone without a thought. And feel the quality of solitude. Very nice. Very nice. So I can feel all of you are going immediately there. So that's really nice because being alone without a thought, so that's solitude. And of course, it's very easy, yeah? Very easy in this moment. We are together. But then maybe many of you know the challenge. When I go through my day being alone, and then a lot of thought comes, right? Many thought, sometimes attacking directly, sometimes very quietly lingering. And the more I accumulate this thought, the more I build that thought in my mind, the more the suffering grows. Why? Because that thought separates me, so I feel lonely. But I woke up in solitude. I woke up alone. Even when I wake up next to somebody, I wake up alone. It takes me some moments to recognize there's somebody next to me. So the moment I wake up, I'm alone. And in that moment, when I wake up, then immediately watch your mind. And then through the day, keep that watchfulness alive and investigate how and what thought is doing. So this is the challenge, because our mind gets so easily distracted from this watchfulness, absorbed in other subjects, other things. So we lose this watchfulness throughout the day. And in that moment, this is when mind generates loneliness, separation. So watch the mind. And when you can catch yourself in the thought, relax, like we did just now a moment ago. Relax the body. And let that thought be, and be in solitude with that thought. What does this mean? Be in solitude with that thought. Solitude means no attachment, no aversion. Okay, I say again, solitude means no attachment, no aversion. Solitude can mean I'm completely alone in the mountains, but still I will meet animals, sometimes a wanderer, I will meet trees. So if my mind is attaching to anything, I'm no longer in solitude. Or if my mind doesn't want some experience, already also generating thought. So solitude is to be without attachment and without aversion, meaning in the mind, it means a thought comes, I don't attach to that thought, I let it go. Thought comes, I don't try to get rid of it, aversion, right? Attachment and aversion. A thought comes, and then I don't try to get rid of it. I leave it be until it goes. So no attachment to the thought. Oh, I have to think about this. Let me think this through. And no aversion. So, no, I don't want this thought. I want to be in solitude. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to get rid of this. That. Also, no, not the way. Solitude is to be without attachment and without aversion. So this is on the level of the mind. And then on the level of the outside world, same, no attachment. So a person comes, I enjoy or not, and the person goes. So I don't try to clinch on. Oh no, this person should stay. Let me get the number. If it's natural, one can get a number, no problem. But you understand what I mean. Not attaching with your mind. Oh, I want to keep this person. So let go, let go. And also no aversion. So person comes, I don't like. Get so go, go, go. I don't want to see this person. Same problem. I create a suffering again. I create a thought. So solitude is not necessarily to be alone all the time. Solitude is just to be without attachment and without aversion. So the way we practice this is on the level of the mind. And now we can do it together. We practice this. You see, as you notice, this is the meditation never begins, never ends. We are listening, we are meditating, we are coming in and out. So now see that you watch your mind. And first, the first moment of watchfulness usually is very sharp. So the mind is very still when we start watching, because the quality of watchfulness is very high. So in that moment, we are alone without a thought, in solitude. And then as we sit for longer, maybe a thought comes. Quite likely a thought comes. And thoughts sometimes also arrive on a very subtle level in terms of a feeling, an emotion, some tension. It's also activity of the mind. So we notice what arises, what appears. And then we practice to be in solitude, meaning we don't attach to the thought, we let it be. We don't think that thought. We just let it come, appear. And eventually it will go again. So we practice this for some time. Let thoughts come, be as they are, not attaching. And the mind also operates on the level of the body, on the level of the emotion. So maybe an emotion arises or a physical sensation arises. And also this we let be. And also no aversion. So not trying to fight or get rid of any sensation, any thought, any emotion. We just are with it. And when there's no thought, actually we are it. There's no gap. We experience this directly without this layer of thought. So whatever you are feeling or whatever appears as a thought, it appears and we just are it. We are with it. And also be careful not to attach, because the moment our mind gets this instruction, okay, I should be with this feeling, then also we tend to hold on to the feeling. So also be watchful of this, not to attach now to this experience, but to remain in the pure awareness of this experience, of this moment. Because then it can also change and move. We allow it to move. And in the beginning, this can feel almost like surgery, because we have to be so watchful, not to attach, not to be in aversion against what's happening. So it requires our utmost attention. So it's almost like a surgery, but also notice here to relax in this, not to be tense about the practice itself, not to be even attached to this instruction, but also relaxed. So we are both sharply watchful and relaxed at the same time. And then, of course, when some time passes, this is when we can also notice now that it becomes more challenging sometimes. So the more we are with the practice, can become more challenging, because we have this habit of creating thought, emotion, physical sensation. So we stay on top of ourselves. And this is what's required for solitude. That's why solitude is not necessarily an easy job. Yeah, so it looks like so pleasant. Okay, I just go nicely alone into a cabin somewhere and separate myself from the world, but it is not so easy. The path of solitude is a very, very courageous, challenging path also. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be alone in the cabin. I can be in solitude in the middle of the city. Yeah, so this you can see when you sit in a city and you sit on a park bench or in the, and then you don't attach to anything that passes. Neither do you judge, meaning like a aversion, anything that happens. You just let the world go by. And in that moment, you are in deep and beautiful solitude in the middle of the city. This is also a really beautiful and important kind of practice, to be in the middle of the busyness and be in solitude. And same in the forest and the nature, same. It's same. The outside world does not, um, the outside world, we do not depend on the outside world for solitude. Yeah, we can be very busy in the nature also, very crowded, more crowded than being in the city, very crowded. So always practice this solitude. Let the world pass by. Okay, very good. Very good. I think really this was very good practice and also important insight to take this. And I didn't prepare this, huh? So it just comes with you now in this moment. So also we made it together. And so this means it's our practice, can be our practice now to really practice solitude. Yeah, and solitude. So I must be careful how I say it now, but these are catchy phrases, so I just say it. um, Solitude is the cure for loneliness. So these kind of sentences, you can put them on the Twitter or something. So, but I just say them because they are also keep in the mind, right? We remember these kind of, so solitude is a cure for loneliness. Now, this is not always true, this sentence, but it's with the context of our practice in this session, it makes sense, right? Solitude is the cure for loneliness. So the cure for loneliness is not being with people or having a partner. It's not the cure. It will come back. Loneliness will come back for sure. Yeah, or having a family or living then in the city. It will not cure loneliness. It's also my experience. Like I live in the city, feel lonely, live in the nature, feel lonely. Doesn't matter until I realized it is not out there. So I have to practice solitude. And when I can really be alone without attaching to a thought, without being in aversion against a thought, then this solitude comes through and it has a pristine quality. It's so beautiful, so clear, clear light. Wow. And then when I get a taste, and all of you had a taste, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So when you have a taste, you want more, right? So this is what the Buddhists, I don't want to quote the Buddhists because I haven't studied Buddhism deeply, but just something that when you develop this view, this taste, little bit of a taste through understanding, through insight, then you will want to meditate, meaning you want to practice. Yeah, meditation just means practice, just means being in watchfulness of the mind. And mind means also heart, also emotions, body is not separate, right? Mind is all. It starts with the mind and then creates emotion, creates physical sensation. And loneliness has a deep root, right? So I said in the session yesterday, it has a rat tail. Loneliness has a rat tail, which is a German saying. So it has a tail of a rat, meaning it has, it creates, the thought creates also emotion. Emotion creates physical sensation, tension. And loneliness is really a tough, tough gig. And so it's very important that when we face feeling lonely, that we practice solitude. And how to practice solitude? Not by going in the cabins alone in the woods, I say again, but practice solitude by being without a thought, not attachment, not aversion, rest. In the city, in the nature, doesn't matter. Where we are, doesn't matter. Okay.